Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Monica? Monica?
Hello, Monica.
Monica, wake up.
Yes.
Yes. Tammy?
Yes.
Tiffany?
Yes.
Barbara?
No.
Gus? Gus?
Yes.
And John West?
Yes.
All right.
We're not putting any flowers by you, Barbara.
I don't want one.
No, the weeds.
Properly
We're gonna get
started.
stick weeds.
Properly created is still not. Let's have Steve go over there with his skunk spray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What are we talking
I
about?
just picked it up. You know that skunk you got?
131st Street Mall.
Okay, that was approved. All right, next item on the agenda is the tree issue by 141 Pinehurst Drive. Everybody get a chance to look at it since the workshop?
Is it 141 or 142?
141.
141.
The booklet says 142, the compound.
Is it?
Right up.
Got 141 on the agenda, but
Okay.
anyway, they're next door to each other. First of all, it's a
141,
massive,
141.
massive tree, okay? Give them some identification. Mr. Jankowski is the gentleman who was interested in this. It's his unit. A truly beautifully big, 40-foot tall oak tree has grown basically into the wall, causing cracking of the wall, the gate to be mishung and not being used, and the roots have transpired or grown under the wall into the courtyard and limiting their use of the courtyard floor itself. They appealed to the grounds committee, and the grounds committee looked at it and deliberated it for many months, and finally didn't reach or rejected it, saying that they might be able to come up with something else. The owners want to proceed with fixing up their courtyard, they're new owners by the way, and fixing up the wall and the gate to be able to use it. And so they've appealed to the board since they didn't get their type of relief from the grounds committee. There is damage to their particular elements from the tree. So they're asking for the tree to be removed and their wall and gate repaired. They, at their expense, said they would take care of what's ever inside their courtyard.
So the landscape committee decided that the tree was very valuable and that we could rebuild the wall with a lintel to go around the tree roots and accommodate growth through future years. You could rehang the gate. All of that would be new. It would give them a safe wall again without having to cut the tree down, which would also save us, I mean, upwards of $10,000 having to take that massive tree down and dig up all the roots. And we've also provided a list of ideas for how they could landscape their courtyard to make it beautiful and terrace around the tree roots, build floating decks, whatever they want. We included plans from Home Depot with material lists as options that they could use that would allow them to work around the tree instead of having to take it down. And so I recommend to the board that we proceed with that path and do not remove the tree.
Wait a minute, that's that a motion?
I have
No, it's discussion.
No, I'm making the
It's
motion.
discussion.
Wait a minute, she may have made a motion, I don't know.
I didn't hear
her.
I didn't.
She
Oh,
made
you
a
did?
motion.
Oh, okay, all right.
Have you talked to the owners about this?
Well, he's with us, so
He
let's,
is.
Can-
Oh, good.
you wanna go ahead?
AJ?
You're muted. You're muted.
Chris is working on
You have to unmute, Tony.
There he is.
it. There you
Wait, we talking to me?
Yes.
Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Floor's yours.
At the previous meeting, it was brought up. This is, been going on, something I've requested, something to be done since we moved in. Closed last May, brought it up at the meeting in June of last year. And just finally came to a head at the landscaping meeting where it didn't pass. And at the board meeting, one of the landscapers came out and, in our defense, stated that there's nobody on that board that wouldn't be calling every day about this issue. So it was decided when people discussed it, and all I heard was, you know what, this is a no-brainer. There's a liability issue, there's a wall that's gonna come down. I don't wanna see a tree go. I like the shade it provides, but I like my safety and my property more than I like the tree. And there's not one person I know of that would, if they were in this situation, that would want it any different. This is a danger, this is a liability. My wall is now 7 inches away, 7 inches in from where it started on an angle. That's why the gate is on an angle, and that's eventually gonna break. So, when you guys had Green come out, or Brown come out, Brown gave you the estimate, Brown said nothing can be done. Brown said the tree has to come down.
Gary.
When they talked about trimming the roots, one of the members stated that if you trim those roots, it'll make it top heavy, and it's gonna come down. And it's gonna land on somebody's property.
Number 7. I know.
I think that's Monica.
Monica.
Monica, quiet.
So as much as I'd like to see the tree here, I think there is no other option based off the professional recommendations that the tree has to come down, the stump has to be ground, the roots have to be pulled up. We've been trying to do the ones inside of our wall. We've been trying to trim those diligently, but you know, we'll fix the pavers up when you guys do that. We'll put the pavers back in, but those roots have to be taken out. I think we're just trying to put a Band-Aid on it if you do anything else. And I think once we get these storms and hurricanes in here, then we're really gonna see this thing come to a head.
All right, I appreciate your thoughts,
And I appreciate your consideration.
Mr. West.
The objective of having trees is for shade. We have 4 to 5 other owners that are getting shade from that tree, number 1. Number 2, the tree's been there for 60 years. And there are other alternative methods, up to and including eliminating the total courtyard and making no courtyard at all if we had to. But there are ways to keep this tree. As far as any type of storm damage, in 60 years there hasn't been a problem with it. I doubt that we'll have another 60 years. We won't have another 60 years with any problems whatsoever. I think the fact that we're pulling trees up and doing this and not talking to the other neighbors is an issue that's a problem. The tree was there when he bought the unit, and it hasn't changed for 60 years, so I don't know why we need to change it now.
We do have owners here, but we need a motion before we continue.
I would like
discussion.
to make that motion for the removal of this tree at 141 Pinehurst.
I'll second.
I think it's very dangerous, and something could happen.
Well, something could happen to the tree out here.
Anything could happen, but we don't want it to happen. He's not happy with it, and you're not living there.
Yeah, but he bought it just
He
this
bought
year.
it just like that,
And it
yeah.
was just like that when he bought it.
And how many people want to change things that they bought? They don't like it, or they want to get something
Then
else.
let's take his
That's
courtyard
it.
down and leave the tree. That is common
Well, no,
property. It's
well,
my
we
tree.
should be-
We're not talking
He
about
bought
that.
the courtyard, that courtyard
Yeah.
is his.
Right,
Actually,
but
we
it's
have
my tree.
neighbors here, but we have,
But it
can we
is
just talk
my
one at
tree.
a time so
Yeah.
people on Zoom can listen? We have 2 neighbors here.
I get shade from the tree, I'm in 140, but I'm also concerned of the roots. So far hasn't got my wall, but it's gonna be next because I'm right beside the tree also. To me, it has to come down, I would say.
would say too.
Where's the other neighbor?
Yeah.
Hey,
Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I say the tree should go.
I walk there with my dog almost every day. I walk back there. And I'll tell you, I have to avoid the roots of the tree that are coming into the alley. So I can't imagine what the avoidance level is inside that courtyard. Plus, to make suggestions for them to put in a different kind of patio or whatever in the back, those are expensive.
It is.
Those are really costly. And
There were inexpensive options on the list too. We tiered it up, so there were lots of options.
But he's gonna wanna put his own material in there.
I understand that, but we can work around the tree and save it and lintel the walls so that they're safe, and then we don't have to spend $15,000 taking down a gorgeous grandfather tree.
well, there's the other problem of people walking in that alleyway, tripping on those roots.
But all trees have roots. I mean, are we gonna take down every tree in the neighborhood because someone could trip on roots?
Or it's not knocking down walls.
We're not talking about knocking down walls. We're gonna fix the wall and fix the gate.
Tree's going.
Where are the other neighbors? How many neighbors are involved? We see two, and I can see a lot more that are being affected by that tree.
Well, these are the two
And
that
if
are
I were
mostly
one of them,
affected.
I wouldn't want that space being empty. I bought a unit that had a shade tree in it, and that's what I wanted, not one that's, because somebody bought a unit that doesn't like the shade tree. Shouldn't be done. That tree is the association's, it's not the owner.
John, have you looked at that tree?
Yes, I did. And I know that there are other options. That's the part that I like about it. We can do it without.
Not according to the professional that came out there and told you what needed to be done in Brown.
No,
No,
but we also
Brown,
have-
Brown came out to
Wait a minute.
consult on cutting it down. They didn't come out to consult on other solutions. So of course they're gonna give us
Brown came out
options to
on
cut
two
it down. They didn't
occasions.
say it has to come down.
Go back to the records in the last meeting, Brown came out, and at this meeting, you were supposed to have a proposal on what Brown was gonna charge you to remove the tree, and then there was fixing the wall and taking care of the roots. This is a danger, this is not an inconvenience. This is something that's been tried to be repaired. My wall is cracking and moving inside, is gonna land on somebody here.
And
Well,
we're
let's
gonna
replace
fix
your
it.
wall.
We're gonna
Can we
fix it.
replace your wall?
Raise your
What are you gonna do
hand,
with the
please, if you
roots?
wanna talk.
How about if we take the wall down and forget it? Would you like
No,
that?
it's because of this tree that's growing on an angle, that's destroying my property, that's outside my wall, that is the condo association's responsibility.
Outside
And to
your wall.
think that you guys, wait a minute, we could do it a different way.
All right.
I'll stop paying my condo fees, and then I'll pay to take the tree down, I'll pay to get my wall repaired, and we'll leave it alone. I don't ask for anything here, I came in here believing that the people that are on this board are financially stable and are trustworthy people, are gonna look to the residents and look to their safety before they look to anything else.
Do you have any type of financial numbers that will tell us what it would cost you to do what the board, or I should say the committee said to do, not the board,
No, because as per the last meeting, the discussion was left as Brown was gonna give the estimate. That estimate was gonna be discussed, what it would cost at this meeting and the board. And at that last meeting that you all were at, it was stated, and I still have it recorded and saved, you know what? This is a no-brainer. This is a liability issue. This isn't an issue of a pretty tree that we want to get rid of, and a couple of neighbors are not happy that they're not gonna have their shade.
I
This is
heard
about an
different
issue
things.
that's outside of the walls. That was stated when I bought the place. The outside of the walls are the condo association's responsibility.
Right.
I bought it based on the fact that this is a problem. Yeah, well, that's the condo association's responsibility. Now, maybe the people who lived there before didn't care about the fact that this wall was caving in, or that it was tried to be patched up 4 different times. That didn't work. Now everything's cracking underneath. You come inside my yard, the crack goes all the way from one side of the wall to the other, and it's caving in. That's why you can't fix my gate. The tree's on an angle. If somebody can come in and repair my wall and trim the roots out from the outside the wall and inside the wall and make everything stable, I'm fine with that. But as per the information that I received on this last meeting that you all had, that said that Brown said you have to cut it down. Now, maybe that was forgotten, or that was, I don't know what it is, but I got a picture right in front of me that shows how far this wall is caving in. And I guarantee you, if this wall caves in on somebody in my yard, it's gonna be a lot more of a problem for everybody than it is now. This is not an issue of convenience or not caring about a tree that's older than me or older than anybody that's here. It was here before we probably built the place. It's a beautiful, wonderful tree. But when it's doing what it's doing to my yard, if it was doing it to anybody else's yard, there's nobody in that room that would put up with it. And I'm trying not, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody there, because I know you have the responsibilities, and I know what's on the line, but this is serious.
Okay, all right. You've had your say. We're fine. We have a motion on the floor.
Okay, can I just clarify one thing?
Yeah, you have one more discussion.
I just want to clarify, we're talking so much about the wall and the safety issue. The landscape committee proposal that we put together involves rebuilding the wall totally securely. So that would be taken care of if we work around the tree.
Has that been communicated clearly?
Yes.
To our foundation.
We sent the email to the committee, and John, did it get passed on to the homeowner?
I'm sure it did, but
Okay.
the problem is, part of that would be the still root intrusion to his courtyard.
Yeah.
And Brown does not want to cut the roots, because this tree won't be stable.
Right.
That's the problem.
Barbara.
Okay, you talked about a Brown estimate. Do we know what that estimate is to remove the tree? Did we get a quote?
He was only out to look at it. He wanted John to come back. He sent one of his underlings, and he has estimated whether or not the roots could be pruned in such a manner. He was the arborist for Brown, and he said the tree's roots could not be trimmed safely.
So we don't have a cost
No.
estimate to remove
No.
the tree?
No.
I don't think I don't think we need to give that consideration. I know it's gonna be expensive, but I'll tell you,
My
I
guess is
walked.
about 4,000.
Okay, and then repairing the wall, remove the tree, and then repairing the wall is in-house? And the gate?
No, that's masonry. Dave Gabbard will do it for us, and that won't be very expensive. And we'll do the gate work, and we'll do the root pruning outside. I don't think you can get a root pruner inside the place. That's maybe they're worried.
Can you see this? I don't think you can see it, can you?
I get video, I get the whole, no one's taking pictures of the whole wall.
Yeah, nobody's taking pictures of the wall. Nobody's measured how
It's
far
leaning
it's.
on a 6-inch lean.
We know all
From
that.
the gate can't be repaired unless you wanna install it at an angle.
All right, we have a motion still. That has to be.
Well, did we have a second on the motion?
Yes.
We have a second.
So the only question seems to be now is, we don't know exactly what it's gonna cost to have this done.
Precisely, that's correct.
So,
Well, I thought he just gave us a range.
I did. I think it's in the $4,000 range from what we had taken out before.
that's the tree.
Could
but-
be 1,000, it could be a little bit more, could be a little bit
I'd,
less.
I'd like to vote yes, I'm frankly on the motion, but I,
Pending a price, you
I
can
don't know
put a
what you
budget,
need. Yeah,
you can put a budget on it.
okay. Okay,
Well,
I think it's got to
are
be
we still
done.
in discussion?
Of course.
So at what budget would your vote turn to no? I don't know.
I'm
I
not sure it would
understand.
at all, because I drove in our
Oh,
entrance
yes.
off Cortez the other day, and part of an oak tree had come down. And nobody had any understanding that there's any problem with that oak tree. So we have an oak tree that has caused a lot of grief and a lot of difficulty. But we don't know whether in a windstorm, because of the angle, it won't take down some of those limbs as this tree. So I'm not sure that no matter what the amount is, that I wouldn't vote yes, because I think it's a hazard and dangerous.
Well, you wouldn't have to put, I'm just saying you could.
No,
You
I'm
didn't
just,
have to
she
have a
asked me
budget.
what
Yeah,
that
well,
number
good.
would
That,
be.
by the way, that was a whole tree that came down.
Yeah. We lost 2 trees, not to wind, but we think to lack of water, dryness.
Yep.
Well, behind your house.
Yeah. There was half of it. But that was damaged in the hurricane.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for a question?
Yeah, let's go ahead and call for a vote.
Please read the motion again.
Approve removal of oak tree and roots intruding into wall, gate, and courtyard, and repair the wall and gate at 141 Pinehurst.
Do we have a budget?
And
We don't need it, no.
I know they're gonna grind this stuff and, because the roots are coming towards the
Whoa,
foundation.
whoa, whoa,
they're
whoa,
all-
whoa,
Whoa,
whoa, we're calling the vote.
Stop. Okay.
Cookie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
I say yes. Shannon,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Tiffany,
No.
Barbara,
Yes.
Gus, where's Gus?
No.
And John West.
Based on the discussion, and based on what I've heard, yes.
All right, so the motion is adopted. Your tree will come down.
Congratulations, the tree's coming down.
All right.
Can we hear it? Can you hear it?
Next item on the board is manager's report.
There's a couple quick issues, just to let you know informationally. The fountains have been turned off again, as everybody can see how low the lakes are. We don't want to damage and cost any burned pumps. Steve and I in particular, and maybe everybody else, I think, have noticed that the fire hydrants that we have out here, 7 of them, look terrible. They're somewhat rusty, they're somewhat, they just don't look good. They all function greatly, and they're all inspected yearly, and we've had very few repairs. So I called the fire marshal and asked them if we could paint them.
I was gonna decorate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I found something very interesting out. He said, no, no, no. We have them painted in a certain manner to tell us what the flow rate is and certain things like that. But he said, also, our crews come out and paint them once a year. I said, I've been here 10 years and they haven't been out.
They painted Woodlawn this morning.
Well, okay, so he said he was gonna send somebody out, so we got it, all right, so it's in progress.
Well, you know,
They were back in the lakeside today
Right.
too, I don't know what, with the fire truck, and they were checking
that
hydrants.
was probably
Right.
the thing.
So they were back in there.
We did have a tax bill of about, what is it, about $7,000, Barbara? Was it? 6,300,
something like that.
and that was paid. And we had 277 service requests handled at the last meeting.
Here, here.
And John, in case people want
Yeah.
want those,
Yeah, I do.
and we have no more votes, so there are those.
Okay.
We don't, we,
No, I think that's it. All right. Committee reports. Tammy.
We have a Pool 7 committee meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., which we will be discussing intruders
Third Monday.
and rude people. And
I'm sorry, Tammy,
That's tomorrow.
7 tomorrow, yeah.
10 a.m.
Chris.
The IT committee has been very busy working on trying to
make sure that our resident directory is as up to date as it could be, and we're comparing it with the office's owners list. And we're finding that our directory is probably a little more accurate than the owners list is. And so, that the owners list, and we will make some suggestions as to where the owners list needs to be worked on. We did send out the census report, or form, census form, for people to fill out. And I think, John, you indicated you have maybe 125 or more of those that have come back, which would help update the office owners list.
Can I comment on those censuses?
But we think it's an important thing for the, I'm sorry.
Well, the census online and the census that's available here in the office are two different things. They're not the same.
The census form that we sent out is...
On your census form and the IT committee is different than the one that's printed off in the office.
Oh, I don't know what's printed here
Yeah,
at the office, but it should be the same. They need to update it here then. Because we changed it slightly.
Yeah,
and we added a few things.
I like that one better.
Yeah, and we probably may add even something else as to, for example, we had the discussion as to an emergency contact. Well, is that emergency contact for medical or for your condo? And so we may need two emergency contacts. One if something's wrong with your condo, and one if something's wrong with you. So those are things that we've been talking about. But we do think it's important that as many people who may not have filled out that census report, census form, do so. We all have changes. We have a new dog. We have, you might have a different car. You might have a different email address, a different phone number. That census form is what the association needs to have to verify what changes have happened to you. And so that information is really important. And so I urge everybody to take a look at that form and send it in if there's been any changes at all.
Okay. Can you check with
Yes.
Secretary before you leave on her form? Make sure she has the right one. Okay. Appreciate it.
One other thing, and that is, we talked about a contract. We are, by statute, required to post any contract that this association has. And we haven't really been doing that as well as we should. And so we need to make sure that any contract that this association is part of needs to be available to any owner on the website.
Building committee, our latest thing was the carports drop. Our next meeting is on the 17th this month, 10 a.m.
Grounds committee.
I think you got it.
No, well, obviously mulch is being distributed. Came a little bit later in the year, and it's getting a little tougher to do it because of the heat. But we're proceeding. I think all of Pinehurst, Sherwood, and half of Springdale have been done. They're going to work on it again and keep working on it until we get it out. And their next meeting would be the 20th, 6/20.
Barbara.
Newsletter.
Your newsletter?
Yeah, we collected $480 to pay for the ink and paper. And I just want to say that, so we will let know that we put out my apologies for miscategorizing the passing of Joan Rosen. So my apologies to her family, if anybody was aware of that. So we fixed that. It should be updated on the website now, and the hard copies that are available in the office have been fixed. So,
Thank you.
well, thank you for letting me know that.
What unit was she by? She 164?
Oh, wait,
165, I think.
Well, that's who I'm afraid I thought it was.
Yeah.
Wow, she just left here. Went home?
No, she.
164.
Yeah.
164.
Yeah, okay.
No, she's been in a facility.
Well, she's had some issues, I know,
She's
but
been
I'm
in a
sorry, I
facility.
didn't know she was.
No, she passed away, and Jerry went back home for a while. He'll be back.
Okay.
Hopefully he hasn't read the newsletter.
I didn't realize. I'm sorry to hear
Another very sad note, we have Barb and Chuck Trumbo, who live over here in the 300s, lost her son. Tree in a tornado snapped the tree off and dropped it right on his bedroom ceiling and killed him. They're up in Ohio now. They're big pickleball players, and our hearts go out to them.
Maybe we could rename the courts.
We did some stuff for them. And just effected a $100 donation today to the, up to Ohio to a pet rescue that he worked at, that he volunteered at. That's what they wanted us to do. Other committees, who am I missing? We got Barbara.
Already done security. Oh, there's.
Jim, go ahead. I thought we'd heard enough from you today.
On the security, I wish that I could say May was an uneventful month. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We've had 5 bicycles stolen from bicycle racks, 4 of them from Pinehurst, 1 from Cluster H here in Springdale. There were mountain bikes. There were a beach cruiser. There was a used 20-inch bicycle. The biggest thing that comes to mind is when the owners were asked, when they reported to the security officer, did they report it to the police department or the sheriff's department? And the answer was no. Well, with my contacts at the sheriff's department, if there's a crime that's not reported, the crime didn't happen, as far as the sheriff's office is concerned. If things are reported, whether we like it or not, that would give us additional daytime and nighttime patrols from the sheriff's department to come onto the property and help us out. So, in questioning the folks, Officer Holloman asked what in particular was stolen, and they described the bicycles. And one item that was stolen, and this is from the bicycle rack, mind you. One item that was stolen was the front tire. Now, you might think, why does someone want the front tire? Well, if you're unhoused and you're traveling about and you have a blowout on your tire, it's easy to get a tire, you can steal it at the inner tube, whatever. So the patrol officers that we have, all 3 of them, have been actively searching the known hangouts of those that are unhoused to see if they could locate, and we have descriptions of these bicycles, to see if we could locate them. One of the suggestions that we like to bring forth to the owners is if you do have something of value like that, whether it's a $70 bike or a $700 bike, come up with some kind of way to identify it by some kind of engraving, some kind of a mark that only you would know what it is. If it is recovered, and with the hopes that it's recovered, that it can be identified and returned to the owner. Also, we've had, this bothers me, it doesn't bother the security officers that much, but it does me. There are still about 1% of the owners, when they're challenged for their pool tasks at the pools, tennis courts, they always get, sometimes they get lip from people. well, who do you think you are and such and such. The officers, they got thick skin. I got thick skin, but a big back. That bothers me. These folks are out here to protect you and your property. Say that again. They're here to protect you and your property. We had another incident where at Pool 1, somebody thought it would be a great idea to back a vehicle up against the gate of Pool 1, tie a rope to it, and just take off and pull the gate down. Vandals. Security officer took care of that, put it back on where it needed to be, and all was well. Another incident was at Pool 2, where a bunch of youth thought that it would be entertaining to sneak onto the property, like on the trail, coming onto the property, smoking dope, shucking and jiving, smoking dope, using the pool, leaving a mess. Well, at that time, I got the call from Jack, who was on call that weekend, and it was just about time for the officer to come on duty. So I told him to put a step onto it, and Eddie, one of our maintenance guys, Ed Dixon, came on, and he was close in the neighborhood, and he came, collared these individuals. They were trespassed, and two young ladies had some very colorful language to express to both Ed Dixon and Officer Coon. If you see something like that, folks, pick up the phone and call. Because what happens is security gets the call at the security hotline, it's answered by a service after hours. Security officer will get it. I also got a copy of that call that's sent to me. We tried to nip it right in the bud. The last incident was pretty major, and that was over in Lakeside, where an individual, my understanding is that the board has taken action about this, but it needs to be, people need to be made aware that a renter had an individual staying with him at the unit, and apparently the ex-husband wasn't grateful about that. He came on the property and created such a disturbance that the sheriff's department did come. It was determined that the offender was on meth. He was removed from the property, taken to the rehab center, and after he came down off his high, was released by the rehab center, and where did he end up? Right back at Lakeside, cowering in the bushes, and this was caught on rain cams by the owners over there in Lakeside. The owners were deeply concerned. So our security officers made it a point to go stealth around Lakeside for the whole week. Because now it's my understanding that this guy's ex-wife is gone. She's out of here. He hasn't been back. And in doing a criminal background check through my resources, they got one heck of a rap sheet. So I'm glad to hear that the board is taking action on that and wanting to help in keeping our residents and owners safe here on the property. That's our main concern. Very simple. Keep it safe. If anybody has any questions for me,
I do.
And now, yes, sir, Gus, how are you?
I'm good, Jim. We had it happen back in the fall with some pool that shouldn't have been there. One of my neighbors called the security folks, and they never showed up. And then we were told later not to call them, but to call the office. And this was an after-hours situation, and then it would go to whoever was on call, and then they would deal with it. So I guess the question is, how wrong? And if we were, what should we do?
You weren't wrong. I had addressed that situation with the owner of the company. And he they hire an answering service to answer their phones after hours, okay? Then what they're supposed to do, best case scenario, Gus, they're supposed to contact the owner right away, immediately. It wasn't done.
Okay.
He took the right approach and switched answering services and got rid of it.
Okay.
You should not have that problem in the future.
Okay.
You'll see a bunch of officers where you only have 3. We have Officer Coon, we have Officer Howman, and we have Supervisor Williams. Each one of them, I hear them when they interact, because when my policy is they're interacting on a negative basis with any owner, regardless of what it is, put their phone on speakerphone, I want to hear it. I want to hear both sides of what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, the officer always tells the resident or the owner, feel free to call me. Here's my number. Okay? It used to be that we had pretty much a Cadillac moment with the company, but they merged 2 patrols. Patrol 1, which is here, Manatee County, and Patrol 2, which encompasses part of Sarasota County. So before, we used to have them stop in at all different times of night. We were in the area, well, they shoot through the property. We don't enjoy that anymore. They are because of the hiring issues that they have. So what they're doing is they're actively hiring new officers through the academy, and they're gonna be going back. Their main goal is to go back to us being this area being one patrol, which will give us a better response time. But always, anytime there's an issue, call the sheriff's department. Okay? Anytime you have an issue, call the sheriff's department.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's your question, sir?
Yep, it's good.
No problem. Anybody got any other questions for me?
No.
If you don't have them now, feel free. I'll entertain your questions.
All right. Director's comments.
I really regret losing the tree. I understand why. I really regret that.
I think that's a mutual feeling, all of us.
Yeah, it is.
Cookie, anything?
No.
Karen? Tammy?
Said enough.
Dick?
I just want to tell Barb I was really pleased that we put pictures of our staff in the newsletter for the community to see who these people are by
Yeah,
name.
that
I
was
thought
a
it was
good
excellent.
news.
Very nice.
Good.
Well, that's good. Get it in there. That's good.
And she agrees.
Has the issue been resolved in Lakeside or?
Yes. No,
No.
not totally.
The
but
letter's been,
the letter's been
the
sent.
letter's been sent, there's no feedback as of right now. Incidentally, that will remind me of something that when you finish.
No, comments? All right,
No.
we're good. Okay.
Under the guise of new laws signed by the governor recommend that impact homeowners associations and condominiums. I am seeking a ruling because it says that the new law will prohibit HOAs, so we don't know if it's condominiums yet, from restricting pickup trucks.
Oh, so I clicked on that bill to read it in full. It is 720, which is
good.
HOAs,
So that's
not
718.
condos.
Okay, that's good, great.
Correct.
All right,
Yes, that's the
good.
first thing I thought of
Yeah.
when I
All right, so that
I just heard about it at noon and I was trying to get some calls.
I just bought a new truck, what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah. We're 718, yeah.
Okay.
Monica has her hand up.
Oh, Monica.
Monica's showing the
I
baby.
just want to say, well, Cookie.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Monica. Thank you.
All right.
That's the
Gus?
baby, huh?
Gus, you got anything? Director's comments? Okay. Owner's comments?
I got one comment on, follow up with Jim on the bicycles. If you, the sheriff department has a database, and if you get a new bike or any bike and take it down there, they will record the serial number. You might not get your bike back, but if somebody takes it to the pawn shop, immediately they know it's a stolen bike.
I think we used to put that in the newsletter about registered bike.
You have experience, huh?
I've read it in
But you
there.
have to- Yeah, I got experience. But you have to take it down there
We
to
took it
them
out.
when they do it.
Yeah, we
Is there a
took it
reason
out.
why that guy wasn't charged that stole the vehicle?
You'd have to ask the sheriff that.
Okay. I didn't know if you guys knew
I
about it.
didn't
I just found
understand
that out
that
from a
either.
neighbor.
Well, we didn't have it.
No, he was released,
That,
never charged with that.
Well, I think the reason he wasn't charged, he had the car thing. He took the car,
Yeah.
but the owner didn't
yeah, I know.
press charges, so I think that's why.
Oh, the owner? Now, according to the owner, that
The
they
owner
wanted
came
you,
the next day.
yeah, Lisa said that they wanted you in the sheriff's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
department to
can't-
find.
Next
But
day.
by that time, the guy was gone.
But anyway.
Are we doing tree trimming for
Oh, yeah.
hurricane season? Okay, I'm just curious because I haven't seen it. yet.
July.
Okay,
What's that?
further down.
Yeah. All right, next meeting.
Let's see, we already looked.
So, are you all set? June 17th?
Probably. 9th and 17th, I believe. Yes.
9th and 17th?
July. 9th and 15th.
9th and 15th.
For July?
Yeah.
July, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Workshops on the 9th, board meetings on the 15th.
Not too difficult.
Thank you all for coming.
Okay, thank you all for coming. Do I hear a motion? to
I
adjourn?
so moved.
Was this the longest meeting ever?
When is the budget?